What's up, YouTube? jDantastic here, and today we are discussing more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 because obviously...
Who's we?
Oh, yeah, I forgot you were here. I actually did forget you were here. I was just going to keep talking. I'm here today with Rhymestyle, and we're going to be discussing more Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 because obviously it is the hot topic right now, and there's a lot of stuff to talk about for the game. And what I wanted to cover, and now just to clarify, this has not been officially announced yet. It's just kind of speculation, and it's a most likely outcome that the game is only going to be developed for PS4, Xbox One, and PC.
Extremely likely, I'll say that.
Yeah, extremely likely. However, they haven't said that they haven't officially come out and said that they're not going to put it on previous consoles. But what I wanted to talk about today is
actually, before you start, I do want to point one thing out. Sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Since they announced it already in the West, essentially in the US and in Europe, for a PS4, Xbox One, and PC exclusive, that's more than likely, like 99.9% sure, that it's not coming on Xbox 360 and PS3. Because usually when they announced it in Japan, that was kind of focused on the console that they're, focusing on, in which case that's why they only said PS4 for Japan in the Japanese trailer. But the English trailer only said PS4, Xbox One, and PC. So you can probably 99.9% assume it's going to be current gen, unless they change their mind last minute and then try to do like a port or something, as you get closer to the release date. Just want to kind of toss it out there.
And they could just, they could just say they didn't want to put, 7 logos at the end of the video instead of just the 3 logos or whatever.
No, because they've done that before.
Yeah, it's probably just going to be on this console. And the reason that I wanted to talk about it is because I've seen a lot of people that are kind of upset about that because they don't have a PS4 or an Xbox One or a gaming PC at their disposal. So I kind of wanted to raise a few points, talk about why, if it is developed for this current generation of consoles only, why that's actually a good thing. I know a lot of people won't see it that way, but we're gonna go ahead and let Rhymestyle go first and just give a few points on his thoughts.
Well, the first thing I want to say is we're not trying to alienate specifically. Like, this is just our own opinion on this, on basically why we think this is good. If you have different opinions, otherwise, feel free to just let us know in the comment section below.
And I'm not gonna disagree with anyone that if you have an Xbox 360 or a PS3 and they don't put it out on those consoles, I'm not gonna disagree with you that sucks. That does suck. We're just here to talk about the points of the benefits of only developing for the current generation.
Yeah, and in that case, when you have the console power over the PS4 and Xbox One, you have a lot more to work with. Because again, with the 360 and the PS3, even though they were great consoles, when you build a game like Xenoverse, you have to hold back a lot so the game is somewhat equal. Like, a good example that I always pointed out before was they made Shadow Mortar initially for the PS4 and Xbox One, and then they ported it over to the PS3 and Xbox 360 later, I think for both. I'm not really sure if it came out for one or the other. Essentially, they made an old gen version and the current gen version, and the old gen was completely dumbed down, and that's because they developed them differently. But when you build a game where you're trying to kind of keep the experience the same, essentially, because you don't want it to be completely amazing on current gen and then dog shit on old gen, you kind of have to give stuff up. In that situation, last time they gave away stuff like, obviously speed, because I remember when I played on the PS3 for the first time, I realized how laggy it was and how slow and how long it took to load, stuff like that. On top of that, you were limited to doing like 30 frames per second and certain things, essentially. Now, if you're developing for the PC, Xbox One, and PS4, you now have a lot more power to work with. But that said, it should look a lot prettier. It should be 60 frames per second, which, by the way, if you saw a trailer, that trailer was 60 FPS. Which leads me to believe that when the game comes out, it's going to be 60 FPS throughout the entire, game. Which, don't confirm that, don't take a word on it, but it shows you the difference, essentially. And the other thing that I'm looking at is the amount of just beautifulness that you can do with the game. I'm talking about environmental damage. I'm talking about, small stuff like blood splatter and battle damage to your characters. Like, there's stuff that you can just make so much more crisper, have it play better, and just overall a better game. Now, again, we're not trying to knock the people who have PS3s and Xbox 360s and don't have current-gen consoles. If that's you, I'm sorry. I saw a couple people actually comment stuff like, oh, I just got a PS3, I just got a 360, this sucks. Again, it sucks, but you have to also realize that there's a lot more people in the world now who are on current-gen and have switched over, and it's been a matter of time before you switch over. And if you switch over and, the game's being held back because they made it on old gen, you're probably not going to have a good experience. So with what Dims and Bandai Namco did is they went for, as much power as possible if they only did current gen. So this next game is going to be amazing. It's going to play better. It's going to flow better. It's going to be, better frame rates and all that stuff. And it's all because it's developed with harder or stronger hardware. Again, it's like put it this way. When they developed Xenoverse 1, they essentially had to build into, like, Yamcha's body or something. But now, if they're doing next-gen only, they're building into Goku's body. See the difference? It's a lot more potential, a lot more stuff it can handle, and because of that, this next game has so much more potential to be a better game just because it's current gen.
Yeah, and I mean, another really big thing to keep in mind is that when did the 360 and the PS3 come out? Was it 2007?
No, 2006 actually.
2006. I mean, the consoles, they're like 10 years old now, and I know that we've gotten like slim versions and slightly updated versions and that kind of stuff, but to be fair, the technology is just not there. I mean, the PS4 has been out for 2 years now, and I mean, that's a good chunk of time, and you know, everyone has to start to realize that they're obviously going to stop supporting those previous gen consoles. I mean, I feel like there's not any. Was it 360 that said that they're not gonna? There's no more exclusives coming out Microsoft wise on the 360.
I don't know which one it was, but it's getting to the point where Xbox. I think it was Xbox. Oh, excuse me. I think it's Xbox.
Yeah, someone the other day recently said that they're not going to support the past gen at all, like ever. So like they're done with it, and it's just that time. I mean, it had a 10-year shelf life. And people are still playing it to this day. There's a lot of great games that people are still going to keep playing. But at a certain point, I mean, you got to make that change. It's just like in the PC world. It's the same thing, you know. The technology gets better. The games are going to get better. They're going to be developed on better technology. They're going to require you to have better hardware. That's just kind of how it goes. And like we said, that sucks. I understand that, you know, not everyone has the money. You might be kind of young. Your parents might not want to get you the new console because they did just buy you the PS3. And so there's a lot of reasons why you might not have the newer console. But looking at it from the bright side is that the game itself has so much more potential to be better, because kind of like what Dino said, if they're developing it for two consoles, they can really only, unless they put out two versions, kind of like what he said about Shadow of Mordor, if they just develop it once and have to develop it for both consoles, they can really only develop it for as good as the PS3 can get. And then, so when you play it on the PS4, it's still, you know, it's going to be better. It's going to perform better because the hardware is better. But now they can develop it specifically for that newer hardware. And I mean, I know it's kind of a pain. Like even with the PS4.5 that has been tossed around and rumored about, you know, developers are even kind of giving shady eyes at that, because it makes it harder to develop a game when you have to develop it for two platforms because you can't focus in on one set of hardware. So.
Which, by the way, to those who are wondering, the reason why this game has come out a lot sooner than later, a lot of people are questioning the fact that the development time seems to be a lot shorter. They're also focusing on only using current gen as well. That's something else to toss out there. Without having to focus on the PS3 and Xbox 360, we're going to get the game earlier. On top of that, there's going to be less bugs. It's going to be more, it'll be better. Like, put it this way. It'll be a lot better in every single way around.
Yeah, I mean, and just think of it from like a business perspective. Even you don't have to have two separate teams. You don't have to have one team working on the past generation, one team working on the current.
Way more resources.
You have more resources to spread out. You got everyone working on the same game. Everyone's dedicated to making the same thing, and so it just leads to better performance, better graphics. I mean, even on, you know, a lot of people talk about lag issues. The PS4 has better, you know, internal connections for internet connections, wireless connections, wired connections. So that's going to help a little bit with it.
And from what I heard, without like spoiling anything, this game's gonna be amazing. There's a lot of stuff that I can't say that, you know, I heard about the game itself, and you're gonna hear about that over the course of the next couple weeks. But I guarantee you, this is that game that's gonna probably make a lot more people happy than sad. I'm just gonna say that right now. Because with Xenoverse, obviously, you couldn't give us everything. It was the first game. It was a brand new engine, brand new everything. But now that they kind of got the hard stuff out of the way, they were able to focus on just like the specifics, the tweaks, the stuff that we wanted the most. And with that said, this game is going to be amazing. So get excited, essentially. That's all I'm trying to say.
Get excited if you will be able to play it, which I hope that you will. I really do. I really hope that you'll be able to play it. I hope you'll be, you know, if it does come out in the current gen only, I hope you'll be able to get your hands on a PS4 or an Xbox One or at least a decent gaming PC. And, you know, so that everyone can experience it. I truly am sorry that if it only comes out on this current gen and you just got a 360 or you just have a PS3 and you have to wait a little bit. But at the end of the day, from the developer standpoint, from the players that do have a next-gen console, from the game itself, it's going to be better. It's going to perform better. It's going to be developed better. And it's just going to be better. Like that's just all there is to it. I mean, you have to move with the times. Technology is constantly changing, and it just kind of is what it is. So there you go. I hope you guys are excited. Even if you have a past gen console, you know there's going to be a lot of exciting stuff that we can do. And even if Xenoverse is still a ton of fun. I mean, like we said in the other videos, we're still playing Xenoverse. So it's not like you'll have nothing to play. Xenoverse is still there. It's still a lot of fun. So hopefully that can kind of tide you over until you can get your hands on, you got to go pick up aluminum cans or mow some yards or something, save up some money.
Hey, let me tell you something. When I was 11, I shoveled snow and bought a PS2. I spent literally 2 weeks of like, well, it was a course of 2 weeks. It was like over a course of like a month. I shoveled snow to buy my first PS2.
Yeah, the first.
And that was when it was expensive too. It was like $400.
The first console I ever bought for myself was the Super Nintendo. I remember I made my parents take me to the store. I had to save up my money forever. I think my dad had a regular Nintendo that was his. That wasn't even mine. I got to play like Mario and Duck Hunt on it every once in a while. But my first console, the first console that I ever purchased for myself was the Super Nintendo, and I had to save up. Son.
You know what? This makes me curious. What was your first console? Comment below.
Ooh, there you go. The very first console that we ever had, like as a family, the very first console that I ever played with, and a lot of you might not even know what this is, but it was the Intellivision, and I played Dungeons and Dragons on it, and it was awesome.
Mine was the Famicom. It was basically a bootleg Nintendo that had a bunch of games on it.
Those bootlegs, though.
Well, I don't know if that was the same Famicom as they got in Japan, but like when I lived in Germany, I bought this from a Turkish store. Well, my dad bought it for me, and it was the body of a Super Nintendo, but the internals were Nintendo. And it had like built-in like 20 games, like Super Mario 1, Super Mario 2, Contra. It had like a bunch of those basics games. So I don't know if it was like a bootleg Nintendo or what the deal was, but it said Famicom on the box.
And you always get that parrot response where they like hand it to you and you give them that side eye and they look at you and they're like, "It's the same thing." And you're like, "Dad, it's not the same. It's the same thing."
Here's what happened. My best friend came over and he brought a Super Nintendo because he lived like right next door. And I was like, I want one. And I remember I went to the store. He goes, "It's the same thing. It looks just like it." I was like, "That's not the same thing. That's a Nintendo, man."
It's not the same thing, Dad, but thank you.
Nevertheless,
anyways,
I loved it. It was great. So.
we got way off track there. Ladies and gentlemen, if at the end of the day, which it does seem like it's going to be, if Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 is only developed on the current gen consoles, PS4, Xbox One, PC, it is going to be a good thing. You might not see it at first. But I promise you that is a good thing. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Again, if you're hyped up for Xenoverse, which I know that a lot of you are, make sure you're hitting the like button. Make sure you're on Bondi's channel, letting them know your support, liking their trailer, all that kind of stuff, because all the feedback and support that we can give them just leads to better things for us. So there you go. Make sure you're subscribed. We're going to be talking about Xenoverse 2 a lot. Probably more and more, especially as more content comes out. We're just going to be talking about it, discussing it, giving our thoughts and opinions. And I love hearing your guys' thoughts and opinions. I've been in the comment section all day talking with you guys, going back and forth about stuff you guys want to see in the next game. So it's a ton of fun. And do you have anything else?
No, that's all.
There you go. We will talk to you in the next video. Later.